So we'll jump over to registrations. There are 3 different registration types that exist. There's a yearly registration or annual registration. So if you're requesting your drivers or requiring your drivers to register once a year for your track or association, you can do so that way. There is an event-specific registration that will tie to one specific race night. So you can have drivers register for a single event. Or there's also this generic registration, general registration. General registration designed for a non-racing event, things like banquets, things of that nature, or pit parties or campers or whatever. So you can have people that you want to collect information for registration, but they're not racing that night. You can do it that way. You can also see, if you've been a part of these webinars in the past, you have not seen this 4th option before, miscellaneous competitor registration. We are exploring ways to utilize that for registering for multi-day events, or having, if you're a series, having all of your different sub-series have their own individual registrations. We don't have to do cartwheels to make that happen. That's not something that's available to the public yet. When it is released, we will let you know. It probably won't be anytime soon, but it's out there, just so you're aware we're working on a 4th registration type. But I'll pick an annual registration here. We can go through that process. We'll just call it the spring season registration. You can charge entry fees for your registrations. The way that those work is we disperse those funds to you via PayPal. So if you are charging via registration, somebody registers, we get the registration in, you confirm it. As long as we have the email address associated with your PayPal account, we can send those funds directly to you through PayPal. You can see you can also charge late fees, what the late fee is going to be, and the open and close date for registration. And it's created. The first thing you'll see is you have the ability to add classes to registration here. So if we click Add Class, you can pick any of the classes that are associated with that season in your configuration. So when you initially set up a season, you go to this configuration tab, you add your classes, and these are the classes that you have available to choose from to be part of this registration. So we'll just pick those 2 and call it good. Again, you can go back and edit all of the information here that we already put in when we created the registration, so you can change those things. But you can also have class-specific options. If you want any class to be active or inactive, any additional price for a class, and any additional late fee. So if your registration is going to cost $50 for the Sport Compacts and $100 for the late models, you would just have your base entry price be $50 here. You leave this additional price at 0, add another $50 here, so those 2 numbers added together will get you to the $100 entry fee for the late models, is basically how that would work. You can also make it active here. When you create a registration, it is not active by default, but you can come in here and make it active. If you click Share, that will share the link to your registration to your social media accounts, I think Facebook and Twitter. And then also, online registration will just bring you to the direct link. So basically the same thing that you would share right here. After I saved it, after I made it active, I didn't save. So let's try that a second time. Come back here. Perfect. So you can see the registration is active. 2022 spring season registration. It's right here. I am going to shrink my screen down to approximately mobile phone size. Because this is what you would call a responsive site, this is exactly what it would look like on a mobile device. So this is what it would look like if you click the registration button on your phone and try to register that way. So I'll kind of show you that process, approximately that size screen. So we're going to select the class we're registering for and put a new competitor, and we'll continue. You have the option to use your saved registration data from previous registrations as a driver. So if I'm a driver, I'll type all that stuff in the first time, but every subsequent registration I do after that is super fast and easy, and I'll show you what that looks like. We'll continue here. My competitor information, my name, my address, city, state, zip, phone number, email address, date of birth, all in there. Jacket size, gender, nickname. If you have owner information, you check this box, you fill in your owner information as well. And again, that's also an option that can be saved. But if the payout is going to be awarded to a team owner, we want the drivers to fill that out. Requested numbers. If you're going to be a rookie, the number of years you've raced, your transponder if you own your own transponder, and then any emergency contact information. We'll continue. Gives you the opportunity to verify all of those things again, confirm and agree, and complete the registration. So you can see if I'm a driver, all of this stuff is super fast and easy to fill this out. If I'm registering for multiple things in the same season, you can conceivably register for a track or a series or an event in like a minute, like less than a minute, 30 seconds. So super fast and easy for drivers. Now that I filled this out, if I come back here as the racetrack, I go back to the registration, you'll be able to see that there is a registration available for me to confirm right here. I can view the invoice. Again, because I didn't charge, there's nothing in here, but I would be able to view the invoice and then confirm the registration. When you're confirming the registration, it allows you the opportunity to tie that registration in with a driver profile. So whatever the competitor name is, if they're registering with you, you can search for that person's name and tie it to their profile. You can give them a number based upon the numbers that they've requested, so you'll know if there's a duplicate number out there based on the numbers they've requested. Allow duplicate entry basically if they are entering more than once, like if they're going to have two cars in the same division, like some nights they'll race their own car, some nights they'll race somebody else's car. Duplicate entry works for that. And has all forms is a pretty new feature we just released not long ago, just a couple months ago. Basically, it's a way for you to track via a yes-no toggle if they've turned in any forms that they have to turn in outside of the program. So things like tax information, pit stall registration, whatever else. Anything that they have to turn in paper outside of the program, this is basically a yes-no toggle. As an update for this, we just talked about this today as a team. This isn't released yet, but it will be in the coming weeks, potentially a couple of months. We'll see how this shakes out. But soon, you're going to be able to add downloads to your registrations. And what that will do is when the driver registers, they get a confirmation email. And if you add downloads to that confirmation email, you can add your W-9. You can add your pit stall registration. You can add whatever paper forms you want the drivers to fill out and have. And it'll actually attach those forms to their confirmation email. So if they register, they have the forms that they need to fill out. And again, this isn't released yet, but it will be released in the coming weeks, hopefully making it even more efficient for you guys to use MyRacePass and allow the drivers to have access to those paper forms ahead of time in a little bit easier way for them. So we'll confirm those things. Registration's confirmed. If you want to view the registration form that they turned in, you can view the registration form here. If you print these off, you can see that there's a social security number or federal identification number a list here. So if you print these off, you can bring them to the front gate, and when the driver comes to, or I'm sorry, the back gate, and when the driver comes to the back gate, they can put in that information and sign it if you want to gather the information that way. You can also change their class if you need to, view their information that they put in if you need to make any editations there. Or you can assign them a hard card. If this driver is sanctioned with USRA or WSOTA or Crate Racing USA, they'll already get a hard card from their sanctioning body. But if you want to assign your unsanctioned drivers a hard card, you can do that this way. You can basically, let's see, what did I do here? Yeah, assign card, perfect. You can add their email address and phone number, click in this box, scan this hard card with the scanner, or there's the scan code, or there's also a number underneath of there. If you don't have your own scanner, you can type that number in and assign them a card that way. Is there a report related to having all forms basically showing who is outstanding? There is not right now, Rebecca. This is a brand new feature, so we just haven't built that report out yet, but I will tell you it's coming. It will come at a certain point. It doesn't exist quite yet. So those are the things that you can do once they've registered. And again, if you need to add owner information or edit their name or their hometown or something like that, you can do so there as well. So that's in a nutshell registration and some of the things that go along with registration. Actually, I might be wrong on this. If I can edit the confirmed entries, I wonder if it's in this list. Wow, let's do this. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so the has forms, yes or no, is in that list. So if you go and export the confirmed entries, you can see if they have has forms or not in there. So it's not just explicitly a list of the drivers who have not turned in forms, but you can manipulate the Excel document to show you that information specifically. So there we go. We'll move on here. Jump into online tickets. The process of creating online tickets. So you come to the ticket tab right over here, online tickets. There's the add tickets button. That's obviously where you'll start. You'll assign tickets. You'll assign basically the online tickets that you're creating to a specific night. So if I pick this night, I can add the tickets. Perfect. Set your ticket availability. Set your pre-sale availability. Have the gates and races start time on the ticket so the fans know when to show up. If in the event your race is canceled, you have two options. You can either rain check that ticket for an event of the same type, and basically you'll decide when the next event is, or you can have it be refunded. I mentioned before, registrations, we send those funds to you via PayPal. Online tickets is a little bit different. We actually send those funds out via ACH all in one lump sum after the race is completed. And the reason for that is that so we can manage refunds. So if your race is rained out, you want all those tickets to be refunded at some kind of special event, there's no way that you can do a rain check. You can actually tell us, refund the tickets, and we'll send all the money back to the people who paid for it, the customers, so you don't have to worry about that refund process. There are a ton of different ticket options that we have available here. Anything from adult, kids, seniors, military, whatever else. There's just a ton of options in here. And then if you, for whatever reason, don't like one of our options and you want to have a different option that doesn't exist in here, you can edit these names. So if you want to take this out, put your own custom name in there and make that active, you can sell basically whatever kind of tickets you want. Availability, if you leave that blank or put a -1 in there, it will be an infinite number of tickets. It'll sell all the tickets you could possibly sell. If you have a number in there, then obviously after if you put 500 in there and the 501st person is going to buy a ticket, they'll get a notification that this event is sold out, and they'll have to pick a different ticket type. Again, price, pre-sale price, if you have pre-sale in there, a lot of different things there. The one item that's requested a lot that we don't offer in online ticketing at this time, not saying it's not coming in the future, but at this time we don't, and we have no plan to imminently, is individual seats. So you can't sell like row 7, seat 6. You can sell sections. So if you sell a VIP section, you sell a whatever, you can do it that way. But there's no way to sell specific seats if you have specific seat numbering at your venue. But we will make our tickets $10. We'll make our kids' tickets $5, and we'll make our seniors' tickets $7. But we're only going to sell 300 of the adult tickets, and we'll add our tickets. Perfect. Tickets exist right here. These are our tickets. You can go in here and edit all of the same information that we just put in for the ticket information. You can go here and edit the availability that we put in initially, or add more availability types. You can see quantity on hand, 300 for the one that we put a number in, -1 for those that did not. So that signifies that there's an infinite number of tickets available. If that changes, you can edit it, or you can actually remove ticket types as well over here. If you have an event flyer for your event, you can put that here in ticket poster for your online tickets. You can also put it right here in ticket pictures. So you can add those things there. And then we have the 3 coupon options. We call them coupons, but really they're just images to throw on the back of the ticket. So you can use them as coupons. If your race night sponsor, Bob's Garage, is going to have 50% off oil changes, you can put that on the back of your online ticket. Anybody who bought tickets in advance gets access to that deal. You can put a thank you message. You can put 25% off the merchandise stand. Basically, whatever you want to put on there, as long as you've got the image in an image, you can upload it here. It'll go on the back of your ticket. This blue button right here is the fulfill refunds or get funds to basically what I had mentioned previously. You can see here when you click on it, there's a phone number associated with the main admin account of the profile. So you send that code. When you send that code, whoever that phone number is will reply via text, either yes, the race happened, give us our money, or B, the race did not happen and fulfill the refunds, and then we will act upon that. But just so you know, there's an extra verification step. It's not just coming in here and getting the funds. it has to go through that, and there's only one phone number associated with that as well. So the main admin has to confirm that. And up at the top of the screen here, you'll see a couple of options. First, you can share it to social media right there, Facebook and Twitter. You can see the sold tickets in a report right here. But there's also a ticket window feature. This will basically show you a list here under pending tickets of all of the tickets that were sold and have not yet been scanned if you have a ticket scanner. And then redeemed tickets will show you the tickets that have been scanned. That makes sense. If you have an iOS device, we've actually implemented the ticket scanner inside of your iOS device. And you can add the ticket scanner for your profile without adding full admin privileges. So if somebody that's at your ticket at the front gate, taking tickets, doing will call, whatever, you can give them the ticket scanner if they have an iOS device and not make them a full admin. Ticket scanner works pretty slick. It doesn't scan the same ticket twice. Doesn't scan tickets that are of for a different date. It scans them, but it just shows a red error message as opposed to a green message. And then this process of going from pending to redeemed is instantaneous. It scans, 1 to 2 seconds later, it switches from one account to the other. So pretty fast, pretty easy there. We've had the opportunity. This is a really new feature, the iOS ticket scanner in app, really new. But we've had the opportunity to test it at 2 or 3 different events now, and we haven't had any issues so far. So it's something we're pretty confident about, and it works really fast and easy. Beyond that, in terms of online tickets, I'll kind of give you the thought process behind online tickets. I kind of go through the spiel each time, so I apologize if you've heard it. But with online tickets, the idea is on average, based on studies, if somebody's going to an entertainment venue of any kind, they're usually going to bring right around the same amount of cash. And they're usually going to spend all of that cash. So that means if they come to your venue with $40 every night and they have to buy a $20 ticket, they spend $20 on your merchandise or concessions or whatever else. If they buy their tickets in advance, then they're spending $40 at your venue. They don't have to spend the $20 on tickets. They're still going to bring the $40. Again, on average, that's what studies find, and they're going to be able to spend all of it. And beyond that, your regular weekly fan that's going to show up every week, you're going to get them every week, regardless if they buy tickets online or not. Online tickets usually are marketed towards the people who come 2 or 3 times a year as opposed to every week. So in terms of demographics, you're marketing to a different group of people with online tickets than you are tickets at the front gate. So one of the things I'd like to show you with online tickets, it's this ticket analytics screen. This is another brand new feature, like 2 or 3 months old. We just released, and it gives a ton of demographic data on the tickets that you're selling. So the first thing that you'll see when you come to this screen is the heat map. You can see, basically an indication of where people are coming from. The number of tickets you sold, the number of unique customers, the number of unique zip codes, and farthest traveled information. This racetrack doesn't have a Google Maps address put in. That's why it says NA. But as long as on your profile screen you have your address put in there, then it can calculate the farthest distance traveled to get to your racetrack. Top cities by zip code. You can see where people are coming from based on the city, which to me tells me that if I'm doing a lot of radio advertising in Salt Lake City, it's probably not paying off. But radio advertising in Idaho Falls or Blackfoot is gonna make a bigger difference for me. Most of my customers are coming from here. Purchase dates, basically when they purchased the ticket, how far in advance they purchased. The prices that they spent, so if people are buying your more expensive tickets or your least expensive tickets. And again, purchase type, so by ticket type, largely the same information is up here, but just a different way to look at it. Gender demographics, age demographics, tickets sold by event, so what kind of events are generating interest. And you can also view all of the analytics for each individual event as well, so you get those different demographics. So you can kind of compare sprint car show to late model show to modified show to monster truck derby to drag race to tractor pull to whatever kind of event you have that you sold tickets for. Now you can compare demographics and see if different people are coming to different things, which they are. And then you can also print the report. This report on the bottom, I won't actually click the button because there's information in here that's confidential, but it'll actually show you the name, address, and email address of each individual person who bought a ticket. So if you're doing a once-a-year tractor pull, you can come in here and see their email addresses of the people who bought tickets for the tractor pull. That way next year when you have an event of the same type, now you can market directly to those people that came last year and have a little bit more targeted advertising via email if you have like MailChimp or something like that, than you would just basically putting a radio ad out and saying, I hope people show up. So a lot of things there in that ticket analytics page. It's really one of the things that I'm probably most excited about because it gives more information to each individual track than what they've had before. So we'll move past online tickets here. I'm going to jump up into the settings page now. When you jump up into settings, look at this. Perfect. There's a lot of different things you can look at in settings. So we'll go through a couple of these things. The first thing I'll click on is lineup settings. When you're running an event and you're creating lineups for your heats or features or whatever else, there's two tabs that you have to choose from. You have My Lineups on one side and you have All Lineups on the other. All Lineups, just what it sounds like. It's a list of the nearly 100 lineup procedures that exist within the program at any given time. My Lineups, you'll see some of these are check marked with a blue check box. If you check a lineup here, it'll show up in My Lineups. Just make sure you save. Unchecked will only show in All Lineups. So it's a good idea to know what your format of your race is going to be before race day. Come over here into the lineup settings and choose the lineups that you're going to use to make it easier for you to see them on race night when things are running hot and heavy and you're trying to get through everything. Those are the lineup settings. We also have schemes. If you jump over here to schemes, it's the opportunity for you to create your own point scheme for the end of the night to award points, your own pay scheme at the end of the night to award pay, and your own lineup scheme if you're going to use passing points and you don't like one of the passing points procedures that already exist, you can actually create your own passing point scheme as well. So we'll add a scheme, again, championship, payout, and lineup. There's also this global scheme section, which I'll show you. It's the schemes that are built out to appease some of the sanctioning bodies that are, most popularly using MyRacePass. So, you've got your championship points for modifieds and late models and stock cars, basically all the IMCA classes. USRA general point system as well. The Westhold point system here. There's a couple of other ones in here. But there's also some passing point schemes. So we got the ASCS passing point scheme. I know USMTS is here. We got two different ones for Westhold, depending on what you guys are doing there. So there's a lot of different schemes in here that already exist out of the box. So if you're running some of these sanctioned classes, these will probably apply to you, and you don't have to go create your own. But in the event you do have to go and create your own, you can do so easily. I'll show you one that's already been created right here. And I'll just make some quick editations to it. So we're starting from scratch. Perfect. Okay, so creating your own points scheme, pretty easy to do. If you have start points, you can have them right here. Competitors who did not take a green flag, how many points do they get? Show up points, basically if they're receiving points, they won't receive show up points, or they will. If you want to award passing points to your season championship point scheme, you can do so here. And then DNF, DQ, black flag, all those different things that you can do to DQ somebody or if they don't finish the race for whatever reason, what you want the points to do. If you want to give them only position points, only passing points, or full points based off of what they've done here. And then you also have the ability to set class minimums. If you have like less than 10 competitors, you can dock everybody 50% or whatever. But in terms of actually creating the scheme, a couple of different ways to do this. First, you can go position by position and just create them one at a time right here. Or you can add all 24 A-main starters at one time. You can set, hey, the person who wins the race is going to get 500 points. We're going to decrease by 10 the rest of the way down for 24 spots. You can click the green button. And now 500, 490, 480, basically decreasing by 10 all the way down through 24 spots. You can also add another breakdown up here. Make sure you save first, okay. If you want to award heat race points or B main points, or if you want to award dash or qualifying or any kind of other special race, you can award any kind of points you want. Each individual race type, any race you run, you can create a point structure for. And that way, at the end of the night, when you're finished and the last checkered flag's flown, and you're the last one at the facility, because we know how that goes, and it's 2 in the morning, you don't have to type 24 different spots for points and 24 different spots for pay for your 5 different classes. It would take a really long time. You're tired. You don't want to do that. Do it in advance using schemes. Perfect. You can do the same thing for pay. It looks identical. It's just pay instead of points. And then again, you can do lineup schemes as well. where you can add your own passing point scheme. I already have a passing point scheme of that name. Again, looks mostly identical to the point schemes. Just keep in mind that if it's a passing point scheme, you're setting how many points you want for positions gained, how many points they're going to lose for positions lost. And then for your breakdown, this is for your heat race finish. So we'll add 10 spots. We'll say that if you finish first, you get 200 points. We'll decrease by 11. We'll add those. So this is a lineup scheme. So this is awarding your own, creating your own passing point scheme right here. I will say that if you're getting into a format where you're starting to worry about passing points and passing point schemes and customizing those and doing these things, it's probably most wise to reach out to us first to say, hey, this is the format that I want to do. I want to make sure that I've got everything in the right spot before we go from here, because, you know, we could potentially already have something in the works that already exists, and you don't have to go through the time and effort and take the chance at, you know, putting something in the wrong spot. So those are the lineup settings, the points and pay schemes. One other thing that I'll show you up here in settings is manage classes. This is where you have the ability to change your class names. Change your class names for two reasons. One, if you're running a class that doesn't exist in MRP, you can find the closest available class and change the name to do what you want it to do. So if you're running Super Pony Stocks and we only have Pony Stocks, you can find our Pony Stocks class, add it, and change the name to Super Pony Stocks to do what you need it to do. And that, you know, we see that actually most commonly in go-karting. There's a billion class names in go-karting, so people just choose their own most often. The second reason to change class names is sponsors. You don't run your hobby stock division, you run the Bob's Garage Hobby Stocks. This is where you can come in, put Bob's Garage Hobby Stocks instead of Hobby Stocks, and that way in the app and on your lineups and on your website and everywhere that your class names are listed at all in relation to your racetrack, the class sponsor will be listed with the class name. A line of advertising for you guys, and so hopefully you guys take advantage of that if you are able. But those are the two big reasons to change class names or manage class names. One other thing that I'll show you that's up here is the contact list, but I'm not going to click contact list here because just frankly, there's not as many tools as if you come to tools and contact list. But this will show you basically a list of all the driver team names or basically anything that's part of your facility. And this is where you would go if you want to edit their address information. You can edit their primary address, edit their contact information, emergency contact information, or personal info. You can edit those things here. Again, that's in settings contact list or tools contact list. You can find it in two different spots. So you can edit that information. Is there a way to search on that page, Deb? You can search every single page on the internet by holding the control key and pressing the letter F and typing in what you're looking for. To answer your question, no, we don't have a built-in search on this page, but Control F works everywhere. Works in Excel, works in Word, works everywhere. So that's what I would advise. There we go. Perfect, perfect, perfect. That's that. I'm going to jump into advanced championship calculations. I'm going to kind of skip around because before I do reports, I actually want to have an event with legitimate information. So because of that, I'm going to jump into advanced championship calculations. You can find it one of two spots. First, click the right button. First, if you go to season management and points, and you've already run an event, your points will show up here, and you can add an advanced championship calculation based off of that. Or you can also come to your season and edit your season and add an advanced championship calculation here. An advanced championship calculation is something that's only available on our partner package. So if this is something that you look at and you say, hey, I need this, get a hold of us and we can get you on the right plan. But it's the option to basically, there's a couple of different reasons to use this. If you want to drop their worst 2 points nights, so you're running 10 nights, you're only taking their top 8 events for your points championship, you can take their top 8 events or drop their bottom 2 events. It works either way. You can also designate rookie points. So through registration, drivers can tell you if they're a rookie or not, and you can take that information and designate rookie points to calculate a rookie championship. Or there's also an age limit indicator in there as well. So if you're awarding a special points championship to all the drivers under 20, or all the drivers over 55, or if you really wanted to, like everybody between 25 and 35 or something like that. You can do those things with the advanced championship calculation. Show you that works. We'll add that. You can change the selected rules and add a new rule set. Here we go. We will do, let's see. So if you're running 25 shows and you only want to take the top 18 points nights on the year, you would basically do it that way. Put in the number 18 and add. If you wanted to, again, running 25 shows and you're only taking the top 18, you can do it just the opposite way where you subtract 7. I think that's 7, 25 and 18. Yeah, it's 7. Okay. So you can do 7 right there. You can calculate rookie points. You can do this for one night. So you saw there was a date range that you can put in. If you put in a date range of only one day, you can actually have this, put in a number 2 here, and then that works as a double points night. So you're double points that night. Some tracks do that. And like I said, the age rules. Your minimum age, if you're under 21, perfect. Or I'm sorry, minimum age would be the old man age. Not old man, I'm sorry, I apologize. 55 for minimum age, or if you wanted to do everybody under 20, you can do it that way too. And we can add that. So those are the advanced championship calculations. Again, this is most commonly used for dropping your worst event or whatever else, and just doing it that way. But it can be used for a couple of other things. Keep in mind it's only on our partner plan, so if you want some of those options, you have to make sure you're on the right plan. Get a hold of me or Chris, and we can help you out with that. With that, I'm actually going to jump right into a race night, so we can look at how this integrates with Westhold, and then I'll look at like I said, I'll look at the reports after that and how to add the schemes after that, so we have some data built in here. But I've got a night built up, so I've got 10 entries in my stock car division. They all have transponder numbers. I mean, all that information exists. MRP Live exists right up here. There are 3 pieces of information that you're going to want to put into MRP Live up here. I'll show you where those things exist. I'm sorry, 4 pieces of information. I'll show you where those things exist, and I'll take you through how to find them. So the first thing you'll need right here is the IP address. It's the IP address of the live timing computer that runs your transponders. So wherever you have Race Manager on, that's where you would do that. So if you come over to Race Manager, you come over here to Setup. Right here is the IP address. So for me, it's 192.168.1.120. IP address right there. It's the IP address of your machine. Like Race Manager doesn't have a special IP address. It's pulling that right from your machine. That way, MRP Live knows what machine to go to in your network to find the information. We always recommend to have MRP Live running on the same machine that you have your transponder information on. That way, it doesn't have to try to go through your local network to find the right machine, and there's opportunities there for things like bottlenecking internet and things getting lost and loss of packets and whatever. Just have them running on the same machine makes everything a lot easier. The port number exists right here. This is the port number field. This is a little bit confusing in Race Manager because there's a port number listed right below the IP address. That's not the right port number. The port number that you're going to want is down here. It's 50,000. The port number is almost always going to be 50,000. There are very few circumstances in which it's not, like 99% of the time, just plan to type 50,000 in there. Then you decide down here if you're using Orbit's or Race Manager. We're using Race Manager in this case, so we'll check that bubble. The nice thing about those 3 things is unless you get a brand new computer this year, all that information is not going to change. It's always going to be the same IP, always going to be the same port, always going to be the same system, unless you switch and then you're having a drastic move that you're going to switch. So that's all going to stay the same all the time. MRP Live code is a little bit different. This will change night to night. Inside of MRP Live in Race Management for this individual event, there is a code right here. Copy that, paste it here, and that code is going to be unique for every single race night. So that's the one thing that you'll have to change every night is that code. You always want to make sure it's the active one. So you're linking that race night in MyRacePass via MRP Live to whatever information is coming out of the transponder computer. So again, IP, port, program you're using, and MRP Live code. The other option here is assignments path. by default, it'll be what I have put in here, race manager / assign on the C drive. C drive is the main, my computer drive. That usually is fine. Some racetracks will choose to have a different assignments path for like every race night. So they'll have so basically think of this as where your data is saved or stored. And it's good that I'm bringing this up now so I don't forget to do something here. But for the most part, if you leave it as assigned, it'll be totally fine. Everything's good. The only time where it'll actually cause you an issue is if you're running like I'm doing tonight, where you're gonna run the same event on the same date 2 times. Again, doesn't really happen all that often, but in my case, it would cause an issue. So I actually had to go into that assign folder and delete everything out of there so it didn't cause an issue for me. But otherwise, it's just fine. So then we'll connect to MRP Live. And race manager broadcast was not found with the IP address. Did I type something in incorrectly? Oh, what did I do? I have to have the IP address wrong somehow. Let's try that again. What am I doing wrong here? Something else. Do I have the wrong code? Is that what I'm doing? Pending. There we go. You should have it just fine right here. What on earth? Maybe you have to go to another event. The fact that I'm using the same event multiple times throughout multiple trainings is probably what's causing me an issue here. There we go. That's better. Okay. Don't try to run the same race multiple times in the same night, basically, is the entire issue. Does the MRP Live connection code have to be copied over if you hit the launch from web under it? Yeah, if you hit launch from web, basically all that'll do is just prompt your machine to open up MRP Live. I get the multiple instances. But all it'll do is just force this machine to search, or this button will force your machine to open up this application. That's the only thing it does. So there we are. Okay. Now that we're here, I've generated lineups already for heat race number 1. Well, I haven't actually. Let me try that again. Heat from pill draw, generated lineups, save as lineups. Perfect. I've got lineups generated, so I'll click the Get Lineups button right here. Jump back over to Race Manager. And in Assign, you can see the lineups that I copied over exist. So my competitors, so that's my competitors list with transponder numbers. Usually that's what I would use for hot laps. But we're skipping hot laps tonight. We're going to jump over into Heat 1. So I got my 10 cars in Heat 1. Jump over to timing. Pre-start, as they roll onto the track, they come off of 4, and you're going to throw the green. And we'll let them get 2 laps in. This is not a training on how Race Manager works. If you need a training on how Race Manager works, they've got a lot of resources on their website and on the YouTube page as well, and they do webinars all the time. But this is specifically just how the two are going to tie together. Perfect. There's all 3. We'll finish the race. We'll stop the race. There we are right there. Perfect. And we'll come back over to results. Results comes up. You can see there's 2 links. One at the top of the screen, one that says right here. MRP Live button and this link do the same thing. Click on the link. There is the finishing order. Imported right from your live timing software. Now here's where you can put in DNF or DNS or DQ or all of those things. But basically it's all right there. Save it as completed. Jump back over to lineups. We will create our lineups for the A main. This is important. Every time you create new lineups or a new batch of lineups, so you get done running your heat races, you've created all of your feature lineups. Now with a new batch of feature lineups, I have to hit get lineups again, come back over to Race Manager. Now you can see my A feature lineup is in here. I'll come over here to timing. I will pre-start them. I will start them. Actually, now that they're started, I can show you this here as well. In MRP Live right here, in this tab, you'll actually be able to see the same information here that is showing in the app. So this is exactly what fans will see in the app. You can see as they come across is right here. So you can actually watch the live timing here as well if you need to or whatever else. You can change this view to best lap view just like you can in the app. You can change it to positions gained if you want to see who's hard charger so far, just like you can in the app. Exact copy of in the app. And that's all well and good. Okay, we've run enough laps here. Finish. Stop. A feature. Yes, replace it. And we can come back to results. I clicked this link last time. This time I'll click this button just so you can see that they both do the same exact thing. And there's your finishing order. So that's how easy it is to connect MRP Live with your live timing computer and Race Manager. Actually, I think it's even a little bit simpler in Race Manager than it is in Orbits, just because you don't have to import groups and runs. It's just a matter of clicking that button and they're all right there. Super fast, super simple, super easy. And like as long as you're not trying to run 2 events in the same day using the same event like I do, you won't have any problems. I'll go through some of the things that go wrong here. I'll disconnect this. If you've got the wrong IP address in here, then you get the same error that I got when I was initially trying to log in, basically telling you that the IP address can't be connected to that machine, blah, blah, blah. All I had to do was restart Race Manager, but that's what you'll get. It won't be able to connect at all. If you can connect, but you don't see any live timing and scoring data in the app coming back to you, usually it's because this port number is wrong. Not usually, it's because that port number is wrong. That's the behavior that you'll see in that scenario. If you're not seeing any data, even though you're connected. Now, if you're connected, but when you press get lineups, nothing is showing up for you at all in Race Manager, like the data is not getting there, it's usually because this button is wrong. You've got the wrong, you've selected Orbits, or you've basically selected the wrong application. And if you're getting the live timing and scoring information, or if you're not getting the live timing scoring information and the uploads from finishes aren't coming this way, and your your port number is 50,000 and is correct, then you want to check the MRP Live code, because that's the other thing that could be off. If your assignments path is off, it's really not going to do anything in terms of affecting the data. It'll just be saved in a weird spot on your machine, and you won't be able to go find it the other way. Now, in Race Manager, as you guys know, that's not one. In Race Manager, as you guys know, when you finish an event, it also spits out the information in an Excel document. So if for whatever reason the transponder information is not coming over and you need to go search for the Excel document, you can do so with this upload a file button. We can jump over into the C drive and into, where are we? Race Manager, assign, and there you go. So you can go in and find the files that way and upload the files that way. What do you mean it doesn't recognize it? Ah, okay. That doesn't make any sense at all. I did this today and it worked just fine. It's got to be because I'm in a demo environment. It's got to be. Okay. Well, yeah, so theoretically, you should be able to go and do it that way as well and find the Excel sheet. One thing that I will tell you is if you're in your own sandbox, you won't be able to run MRP live. So if you're doing a demo, like a test event, testing lineups, testing all those things, you won't be able to run MRP live. It can't connect out of the sandbox. It has to connect out of the live environment. So if you're running a test and tune or a practice night, throw some transponders on some cars, fire up MRP live, make sure you can get all the information coming that way. That's really going to be your only opportunity to get in and practice this before your first race night. So take advantage of that practice night or that test and tune night to be able to do that stuff. Perfect. Let me go through back here. So the next thing we'll take a look at is we'll circle back now to our schemes. So if I'm going to calculate a calculate my points and pay at the end of the night to use our schemes, that's how you would do it. So when I'm in here calculating, to use the point scheme that you've created, you basically create one and pick the one that you want to use. I'll just use the IMCA modifiers for this case. And the pay scheme, again, you can come in here and select the pay scheme that you want to use that you've created. If you haven't created a scheme, you're going to want to pick manual entry, and that's where you'll have to type them in. But that's basically the process of doing that. If you're over here, you can uncheck any drivers that are not eligible to receive points. Go ahead and calculate that. You can decide if these points are going to apply to competitors or owners or teams or all or none or whatever. And you can select a schedule that you want this to be a part of. So if you have multiple schedules, you can make it a part of multiple schedules or one or none if it's a non-points night. Basically anything you want to do that way. For our, so if you have a scheme put in here, this box will be grayed out, and you'll have an adjustment box over here. So if somebody's getting bonus points or somebody's getting docked points, you put it in the adjustment box. So I'll add in another 20 points for him, and I'll add in $100 for him as well. We'll save that. Again, you can make these schemes apply to every type of race that you run. A features, heat races, B features, show up points, qualifying, whatever you want to do, it's all there. And then you come up here at the end, you can see the event totals. When everything looks the way you want it to look, create payments. Create payments is what pushes this data to our 1099 report. It's important that you push that data out. Our 1099 report will show you the payee, how much money they made, as long as it was more than $600 on the season, the events that are a part of that, and their address all in one sheet. So the only thing that you'll need that you'll have to apply to that one sheet is their tax identification number and their social security number. Otherwise, our 1099 report has everything in it. As long as you press that create payments button at the end of the night, that's what pushes the payout information to the 1099 report. After you click create payments, you can also print checks directly from this view. So if you want to print checks, you can. You can choose the check type, choose the starting check number, and print from here. You can also run some reports that show you payout information. Mine's super wonky and weird because, again, I've run multiple events on the same day, which is throwing off all the data and made it look weird. But you get to see who gets paid and what they get paid. If it's a situation where there's a car owner, it'll actually list the driver name in parentheses there. So, again, you can see what they've been paid, make them sign for it, all of those things. And then there's also a QuickBooks export, so you can export this information directly into QuickBooks as well with that special format. If I jump over into reports, this is what I was talking about with that. The 1099 report shows you the payee, as long as they made more than $600 on the season, shows you the address, shows you if they're an owner or competitor, and then you can search driver by driver to see the shows that went into that payout amount. So you know if there's some kind of error or issue, you can come in here and you can see what events happened and what they got paid on each individual event. Export that as an Excel sheet, and you've got everything you need outside of social security numbers to make it happen like that. If you make a mistake and you void the checks, yes, the process of voiding the check is what removes the data from the 1099 report. So you go into season management, you go into payments, and you void a payment there. That is the process that removes it from the 1099 report. In terms of year-end points, so that points tally in where I was here, points and pay, as soon as you add your points group, oh, goodness gracious me, where am I at? Stock cars. So as soon as you add your points group right here and you press this save button, that will push this information to points to the points calculation for the season. That's the season points calculation. So you come up here into season management into points. Let's use the right season. That's what pushed that information here. So you can see how many points they've received. There's an earnings column here, but that's not public facing. Just forget about that earnings column. Nobody can ever see that. It's not always accurate. But the features, wins, top fives, top tens, and points is all right there. And you can also here choose or see which nights are included in those points tabulations as well. So you can see what nights went into that season as well. So if that makes sense for the points championship. And then in terms of the MyRacePass hard cards, give me a call. I will ask for your address that you want them shipped to, and I will send you a block of hard cards. That's how you get those. We don't charge for them. You can just have them. There are a couple of other reports that I'd like to take a look at for a couple of things. First is the transponder list. If you come in here to transponder list, select the date of the event you're looking at. It'll actually show you here, and my screen's not great for resolution, but these should be more visible for you. But it'll actually show you which transponders are rented or not rented, so you know at the end of a race night who you have to go after to get your transponders back. So transponder list is an event to look at, or a report to look at. There's a lot of reports in here. I'm not going to go through every one. I'm just going to highlight a couple of them. There's two here that I like to highlight, lineup sheet and event lineups. I'll show you event lineups here. If you do need to have paper lineups, you can find them here. This is what the event lineup sheet will look like. So it's got them all listed over here, whatever else. I'm an announcer, so I can tell you some announcers like to have the event lineups like this. Some of them like to have, instead of the lineup sheet, or instead of the event lineups, the lineup sheet, which looks a little bit different, but it's mostly the same information. Right here. So, I mean, mostly the same information. And then a lot of other announcers are just going to use the app as well for the lineups. You get the lineups in the app. And then actually, when you're in race management, there's one other view that I'll show you here. It's the lineup monitor screen. So if they're an admin, they have access to this. I don't have anything in here because I don't have lineups in here that are not pending. But this screen, you won't have to refresh or update. This will show you lineups as they're created across the screen. And as soon as that race is finished or completed, the lineup will get removed. So it'll only show you the active lineups that you have to worry about. We have a lot of tracks that just put like a big TV out of the back gate or somewhere in the pit area where they usually post lineups, and just have a computer with this running on that big TV. So they're basically, you don't have to print lineups ever again if you use the lineup monitor at your back gate. A couple of the other reports that I'll show you here. I showed you the 1099 report. I showed you the lineups. There's a lot of different results reports. You can see results. You can see qualifying results. You can see a lot of those things. You can see the points by date. So you can see for each individual race night who earned how many points. Same thing with the pay. You can see point averages. You can see the WSOTA or IMCA point averages as well. Basically your race average. A couple of different things there. And then you can see DQ information, how many shows they ran, their stats for each individual competitor, basically individual driver reports there as well. A lot of different reports, a lot of different needs for reports. You can search through those and kind of see what you want to see. I highlighted a couple that I think are valuable, though, that at least I go to on a night-by-night basis. There's also a report in here. There's one more that I'll show you here. There is for passing points. There's a passing points report. If I can find it, let me just Control F. Search passing points. Perfect. You can run this events passing points report. I don't have any events that I've used passing points on recently, and that'll show you in order from highest to lowest how many passing points they've earned. Now, there's some weird finicky stuff that goes on there if you are going to have DNFs. Or if you have DNFs, the passing points report as it currently exists does not show you it doesn't show the DNFs behind everybody else regardless of points. But if you're using a passing points lineup for your A main, it will put the drivers who DNF'd in their heat race behind everyone else regardless of how many points they've earned. So keep that in mind, that the report might not be 100% accurate. We've actually got a ticket in to change that, so that could change fairly quickly here. But just right now, today, if your lineup isn't an exact match of the passing points report when you're using a passing points lineup, that's why the DNFs are put at the end for the lineup there. But outside of that, I really don't have much else for you here tonight. Does anybody have any questions or concerns before we wrap up here? If you think of one tomorrow, or you think of one after this is done, or you think of one later, send me an email, austin.lloyd@myracepass.com or support@myracepass.com. Both of those inboxes will come to me, and I'll be able to look over some things and answer those questions for you. So I appreciate anybody who asks questions. Basically, it just tells me that you're doing your best to try to make your race night run more efficiently and smoother. So I'm happy to help in that regard. I'm the head of service here. That's what I do. Beyond that, we've done 12 of these. A lot of you have been on for the majority or over half of these 12. So I want to say thank you. You take time out of your evening away from families, away from personal lives and whatever else, to join these. So I definitely appreciate you doing that. I see that we've got a hand raised out there. Do you have a question for me at all? Okay. In that case, we'll move on. Appreciate it. Yep, there's the Wasota word. I got to tell you, this is the last webinar. So if it's the last of anything, the word should definitely be checkered flag. So send me an email, austin.lloyd@myracepass.com, your name, the racetrack that you're with, the code word checkered flag, and we can do that. I appreciate Brian reaching out. If any of you guys find you still have questions or you still want to have more information before your first race night, get a hold of us. That's what we're here for. We want to help make sure that you have a successful night and you have a successful 2021 season. Until then, everybody, thank you so much for tuning into these, and we'll talk to you another time.